Greetings to you all, goddesses. Hello to the Soul Alchemy Circle membership queens, as well as the Goddess Transformation Coaching Queens. I am so excited to share this information with you about the upcoming eclipses in both Pisces and Virgo, and they are in the month of September. We have September the 7th eclipse in Pisces. It's a full moon. And then on the 21st, we have an eclipse in Virgo. It will be a new moon. All right. So eclipses are probably the astrological event that sold me on astrology in a way where I was like, yeah, I'm going to learn this. Because when I started realizing the amount of shifts and changes that come your way with eclipses and how much you can use, it's like eclipses become a leverage for you. Then I said, wow, I'm able to wildly shift my life in a way that I couldn't before. I used to always feel like I was on a dark road at night with some, low beam lights on. And maybe I would know some things, maybe I didn't. Life just felt so, um, it was like not predictable in the least bit in so many ways. And once I began to learn about eclipses, I began to realize, okay, first of all, they're fated events or they bring about fated events. These eclipses are all about keeping you in alignment with destiny. And when I realized that I could use that to my advantage, it gave me a mission. It made me know what I need to be focused on. It helped me to let me know what I need to be releasing and letting go of. Eclipses can affect you in a way where it feels um, almost like a blind side. And I know I just mentioned how much I felt like things were unpredictable. But it feels like a blind side when you don't know it's coming. When you know eclipses are coming and you know the area of life where this is happening for you, you begin to look for it. At least that's my experience. I look for it. I make plans for it. You cannot fully predict everything that will happen in an eclipse, but you can sense it. You can kind of know it's coming. I always love to talk about when I had the eclipses going across several of my planets. I noticed that it was coming about a year or so in advance. And I said, this is going to change something about me and the way that I work. And sure enough, those eclipses came and I got this massive up level from, in my mind, a stay-at-home mom who was just trying to figure out how to have a business online and just taking a few trainings to a trainer for a company. And that time that I served as trainer was so pivotal. It made me so strong as a spiritual guide, as a person who understands business, as well as being a business coach, because I ended up being a business trainer. I cannot over explain or over, I cannot even begin to explain how much that eclipse made a difference. If I did not know astrology and did not know that eclipse was coming, I think I may have been a little bit of afraid because that particular eclipse gave me a massive up level. And then there was another one that happened right around the same time. It's crazy. Um, because there's always two parts to the eclipse. So that was the part where I was going in a new direction. And then there's the part where you purge, you release, you let go. And with that eclipse, there was this energy around release, surrender, let go, and certain things were happening in my family, my extended family, that had me shook. I can't even, maybe one day I'll tell the story, the full story, but it had me so, I can't even explain how shook this had me. Like I was sort of hurt down to my core. And if I did not know that I was in the midst of the eclipses and that this was just a time of releasing and kind of like a reckoning with the past, then I don't know how I would have made it through that time. It would have been so much more difficult. And so with that, I hyper focus on the eclipses with whoever I work with. The ladies who are in my one-to-one coaching program, I specifically, every month they get a reading from me, and I tell them specifically how the eclipses will impact their specific chart. And that is because, or anyone who gets a reading with me, that is because I know how life changing eclipses are. And so I'm going to start off talking a little bit about how to work with the eclipses, what it means, because you really need to understand this, because eclipses last for about 15, 18 months. And if you don't keep your mind focused on the eclipse, sometimes I do notice it just kind of works out. But to actually maximize it, you want to build in a way to remind yourself. And so part of what I'm doing is really anchoring the importance of why focus on the eclipses. So I always say the eclipses are about course correction or amplification of aligned action. Again, these are designed to keep you aligned with your purpose. I believe we all come here with an itinerary. We have certain checkpoints that we're looking to meet. Actually, I see the eclipses as a checkpoint because when we get to these eclipses, and they are always here, they just move from one sign to the next. That's what happens. So when we get to that checkpoint, the eclipses are trying to see, are we aligned or are we not aligned with what we said we were going to come here and do, which most of us have forgotten, because what happens is we're born, and part of coming from the spiritual world into the physical world means that you forget. That's just how it is. We set the agenda, we have the itinerary, and then we come here and it's buried deep in our soul, our psyche, our consciousness, but we don't consciously remember. And we have to find ways to remember, which is why divination is so important. And these eclipses, in my opinion, have been put in place so that we get to a point to see, am I on or am I off? And so when you're off, it'll feel like a course correction. Eclipses can feel very, very hard because there's this goddess called Oya. And when we talk about her, it's all about change and transformation. She will come and mention, hey, you need to make these changes in the whisper of a wind. But if we don't listen, because she is not ever going to give up on us, if she needs to send a big gust or even a tornado to get you back on path, she will do that. And for a lot of people, that's what eclipses end up doing. We just get caught up in ego, which ego is not like this big thing where you just got this big head. It's you have limiting beliefs. People have, giving you ways of thinking and feeling and values that may not be yours, but you're living according to them. Our egos are just constructs. And if we haven't taken time to build our own ego and we're just going what the world has given us, then we'll be striving for things and wanting things that the world says we should have, but it's not really aligned with what we want. And sometimes it's about healing. Things have happened. We have trauma. We have wounds, and they are preventing us from moving forward. And we're getting off course. A lot of times people see this with relationships and jobs. It'll just be like everything is going wrong, everything is off. But if we realize this is about course correction, then we can do something about it and not feel like a failure. Or what's worse, keep trying to fight for the very thing that we need to be releasing and letting go of. I swear this is Will Smith. I feel like a little bit of a scientist looking at him and studying his astrology. And I'm just like, I wish you would see an astrologer. He could come see me any day. Because I have some things I need to tell him. You need to chill out right now. But he just keeps pushing, and the more he pushes, the more people hate him. He could have redeemed himself. People forgive and forget. It seems like we don't, but we do. But he just keeps doing what Will Smith does. So yeah, it's a rough on him right now because he has Virgo energy. So anywho, course correction, you're off course. These eclipses are going to bring you back on course. Okay. Now, the other is amplification of aligned action. So when we're on purpose, when we are in the flow, we are, aligned with whatever, to a certain degree, whatever our short term mission is, as well as our long term mission, then it feels like amplification of aligned action. So in the case of me getting that trainer position, that would be amplification of aligned action, even though it was such a quick up level that initially I felt scared and uncomfortable. Um, this it still helped me. I still knew I'm on the right track. I'm trainer material. I'm business material. I am, a fab spiritual guide, even though in that moment I was more in trainer mode. It was more of like myself. I was training. But I know that I am destined to be a certified leader. I'm good at what I do. And so in that moment, because I was doing all the right things, there was this meteoric rise. Okay. So that's how it looks. A lot of times when you get that amplification of aligned action, it'll feel like, um, it'll feel almost like you're not ready. Okay. Sometimes the amplification of aligned action is I'll hear people saying, I need to stop working with this person, or I need to let this relationship go. The eclipses will come through. There's the part that's about purging and releasing. Next thing you know, they're like, girl, I'm done. It's over. I had to let that go. And they won't even think anything about it. They'll be good, right? So eclipse season is an opportunity to get closer or realign with your highest goal of self-realization and life purpose, okay? So this is what the eclipses involve. It definitely has to do with the moon, and then it has to do with what's called the north node and the south node. So I'm going to show you, uh, this is the Pisces solar eclipse chart. So this little thing right here, uh, I don't think I could make it any bigger, but anywho, this little thing right here is the north node, okay? And this takes you in a new direction. And then very opposite, you can't see it on this chart. Oh, just one moment. So on this chart, I will show you. I didn't realize I had these ads up. This right here is the south node. Okay. So the south node is the part that's about purging and releasing. There's always two signs involved in the eclipse. One is the sign where there's a new direction. And then the other one is the sign where you need to be more detached, you need to purge, you need to release, you need to let go of something. Okay. Um, so let's look at that. Uh, So that north node, which is the part right now that's in Pisces, and eclipses have about an 18-year cycle. So the last time we had the north node in Pisces was about 18 years ago. All 18-year-olds right now probably, it's between 18 and 19. If you were to look at their chart, they have North Node in Pisces. Okay. It doesn't even matter where your North nodes are. Sometimes people hear me talk about nodes and they'll say, oh, well, this is where my nodes are. We're looking at specifically where are the nodes today. Okay. But every 18 years, that North Node is going to be in Pisces. And then every 18 years, that North Node will be in Aries or Taurus or whatever, And same with the South Node. Every 18 years, the South Node is in Virgo. And then there's that middle point. 9 years ago, the North Node was in Virgo and the South Node was in Pisces. Okay. Always. The nodes are going to be between two signs. There's going to be the North Node, and let's talk about what that is. And then there's the South Node. So the North Node is equal to spring and new beginnings. It will make you feel like you are embarking on something that is so new, it almost feels uncomfortable. Okay. And then the South Node is just asking you to purge and release. So with this North Node, it's sort of like a very driven. Wherever that North Node is, you'll feel very driven in that area of life. So there's general themes that it will cover, like Pisces and Virgo, but then that little pie slice in your chart, where is it happening? Which one of those pie slices is it happening in? And this one isn't exactly cut, but you can see all these little rooms. You could look at them as rooms for each of the signs. So is this Pisces? Is it room number 1 or room number 2? What is the room that it's happening in? Yeah, these are not birth charts. So, but that tells you what area of life it's happening in. One moment. Okay, since I brought them up, I will look at Will Smith's chart. So you can see here, there's these numbers. It's 12 rooms. And each one of these little pie slices equals an area of life. And in that area, you'll feel very, very driven, or you'll be like wildly swung in a new direction. Okay. And then on the other side, see, say for instance, let's just look at Pisces and Virgo. So up here's Pisces, and then down here's Virgo. Okay. And for him, Pisces is the 10th house and Virgo is the 4th house because he's a Gemini rising. See if let's see here, Taylor Swift, we look at her chart, she's a Sag rising. So for her, Virgo is the 10th house and Pisces is the 4th house. Okay. So it all depends. What room are these nodes in for you? That will tell you where you want to make progress. It can bring material gain, brings new beginnings. You're just really voraciously looking at that part. I call it a mission. There's this mission that you're on, and it's almost like you won't be stopped. And it can create this massive up level for you. Okay. And so then there's the South Node, which is equal to fall endings. And that part of the node is very spiritual, actually. It's about detachment, releasing, letting go. And it is more reflective. And, just like I told you, I had that year where stuff was going on with my extended family. And it was just like this inner work that I was having to do. It was like so emotional. And I started remembering so much from my childhood and was like, oh, I didn't know that was still bothering me. I need to, maybe get a little bit of healing around that. So it brings in this inner experience, this deep healing. Detachment is key because when that South Node comes through, sometimes there are things that we know we need to let go of, but we don't. And a lot of times I find this is relationships with people, sometimes jobs too. It's like, I know I need to let go of this, and we just don't. And that South Node will come through, and that person or that position is just gone, right? And it'll feel like punishment, but most people will be like, I knew I was supposed to leave. Like it was not a surprise, right? So it'll create that kind of thing because it wants you to let go of whatever's not supposed to go with you in the next leg of your journey. Okay. It's this energy of being selfless. You're not super driven. Wherever that south node is, you're more um, in surrender mode. That south node is more of like surrender, releasing, letting go. Yeah, in the hands of the divine. It also could have this energy of renunciation and where you can experience awakening. Okay. So I want y'all to see the eclipses as being like a wave. It's going to rise, it's going to peak, and then it's going to fall. And so the eclipse energy lasts for about 6 months. It rises about 3 months out, it peaks, and then it subsides. And then we go to the next eclipse season. So that's where we are right now. We're in the next eclipse season. And sometimes in that peak, it could be very intense. And yeah, so just letting you know. So there's always going to be a solar eclipse, which is a new moon eclipse, and then there's going to be a lunar eclipse, which is a full moon eclipse. Every time, full stop. There's never anything else. Sometimes we have three, and so maybe there's two lunar and one solar, something like that, or two solar, one lunar. But there's always going to be at least one solar, new moon eclipse, one lunar, new moon eclipse. Okay. So, I talked about what area of life this is happening for you. And if you know your rising sign, I want you to listen for your sun, your moon, and your ascendant. All right. Listen for all three. If you don't know, just listen for your sun sign. All right. I do find all three give me insight about what I'm focusing on. Sometimes one more than the other. I really am a rising sign kind of gal. I go by my rising sign more than anything with these kinds of transits. But yeah. The other thing I want you to know is if you have planets in the sign with the eclipse, then it will be an even more impactful time for you. It will create it's like an activation, a button gets pushed and the intensity is turned way up. It all depends on where your planet is. If it, like for instance, to be honest with you, this Pisces eclipse is 15. It's right in the middle. So it could get a lot of people who are in the front or, whose planets are before and a lot that are after. But say, for instance, the new moon eclipse in Virgo is at 29 degrees. So not as many planets, are that close. If you have something up here, say, for instance, z- excuse me, if you have something over here at 0 of Virgo, it won't be touched by an eclipse that's at 29, but that eclipse point will get there. If you have any planets in the eclipse sign, doesn't matter which one the eclipses are in, any planets there, you're going to feel that eventually. Okay. But at the end of the day, we all have a mission with these eclipses. So be sure to check this out. Um, Generally, if you have an eclipse in the rising sign, in the first or seventh house, or first and seventh house, or fourth and 10th, this is general. Okay. First and seventh for sure. That doesn't change no matter what um, system you're using, but that the fourth and the 10th, sometimes it could be a little bit different. But anywho, generally, that will create a lot of change for you. Okay. That will create a lot of change, new beginnings, because that first and 10th, first, fourth, 10th, and seventh houses, those are cardinal houses. They bring about change anyway. All right. If that eclipse is on your sun, then there's something new coming to you or something letting go around career typically. But it could be something around like how you present yourself to the world. And if it's on that moon sign, then it could impact your your family, your health and well-being, your home, things like that. So, you can look at this if you have other planets. Let's see here. Does I said Will Smith has planets. Let's just look real quickly. Oh, that's Taylor. Uh, so for Taylor, this little point right here is called the MC. That will create some type of change in her career as well as, check this out, what she's known for. And we just heard she's getting married, right? I'm so sorry I have to see that ugly president. I'm so sorry. I need to say it. I just can't stand that president. So I told y'all Will has planets down here in Virgo. So is that 3 planets in Virgo? I knew Virgo was a big house for him. Virgo, Virgo, Virgo. Okay. Whew. Yeah, and it's the hard part. See that south node where you have to release is hard. That's the hardest part of the eclipse because you got to release and let go. And this man is not used to not being in control. So that's pretty challenging. I think he has 4 planets there in Virgo. So yeah. Um, super, super impactful. But see, let's see here. He has Mars at 2 degrees of Virgo. All right. And so that won't be impacted until next year because the eclipses move from the end of the house to the beginning. They move the exact opposite direction of the planets. So because he has this at 2 degrees, he's not fully impacted by this eclipse. But this Jupiter at 20, that's close to that 15 degrees. In Pisces, he has Uranus at 29 of Virgo. Pluto at 23, we'll even include this Jupiter at 20. That's all down there in that range with that 29 degree um, of Virgo that this eclipse is happening at. Something is going to happen with Will Smith. That's a lot. It's got me sweating. Look, I got to take off my jacket. I'm like, what? I need to get in touch with him and let him know. Get it together. You need to go sit down somewhere. So I hope that's a good illustration for you all, okay? Now, you can look at this and see if you have any planets and how they will be impacted or the themes that are there, okay? So if it's the South Node and it's on your Saturn, then maybe you're going to lose some responsibility of some sort. It'll drain the responsibilities that you've had or it could be very karmic also. Yeah, so y'all can look at that. I won't belabor it. Okay, so in general, for the collective, this brings up themes and it's bringing up Virgo themes and it's bringing up Pisces themes. All right. Now, the Virgo Pisces axis is called suffer and serve. So it has to do with being of service. And if you aren't of service, then you could find that you're suffering, you know? It's the work-life balance axis. It has a lot to do with self-care. Um, the signs are opposite. So Virgo is this workaholic sign. It has to do with habits and routines. How are you living your life, your health and your well-being, that kind of thing. Pisces is all about we don't have any boundaries. We're the ocean. We're relaxing. We're free floating. We're creative and intuitive. Both of them are very compassionate signs. So it could be bringing up topics around that. Very compassionate. But Virgo wants to help people in a very practical way. I can imagine Virgo is the sign that came up with the we've heard that quote, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish and he'll eat forever. That is Virgo. Virgo wants to get the person, get them all cleaned up, teach them some skills, get them on the right track so they can get a job. Because Virgo is a sign that's about having a job. Uh, and so that's what Virgo wants to do. It wants to do very practical things. And it wants the person to be standing on their feet. This is also a very critical sign too, don't get me wrong, because we'll talk about it. Anywho, Pisces is like, "Come here, I'm gonna give you a hug, and we're gonna lay around." They may not do a lot for you, but you'll feel like you're the most loved person on the face of the planet with Pisces. Pisces will feel your pain, like, you could be the person in the room, and everybody else is just living their life, and that Pisces tunes in like, "What's wrong with you? Let me give you a hug." And you can sit, you can talk to the Pisces. They're going to cry with you. They're going to be with you. But, Pisces has to be careful of codependency. All right. I think Pisces really, because Saturn has been there, wherever you have messiness in your life, it's just been this energy like, now it's kind of like the energy of Virgo is there saying, you got to get up and you have to get yourself together. Pisces has not been able to just be Pisces can be a victim. All right. Virgo wants to help the victim. So Pisces energy is kind of like, get up, go, move. Things that I believe with these eclipses being there, we've had Neptune there, Saturn is there, they're going to come back, is music and art are tantamount, and spirituality and healing. That's what this is about. This is a lot of what we're working on. I do kind of fuss a little bit here lately because people want soft. They want the soft life. And what we have to do is learn how to have a balance. That's what the eclipses teach us. What are you balancing? And of all the eclipses, this one is about the work-life balance. But we have to learn how to build. I get it. We got this Pisces energy in here. Like, y'all need to be softer. Y'all need to take time out to relax and get away. It's like this energy around. I just feel like I need to get away. Um, I need to do some healing work. I need something spiritual. I want to work on my spiritual practices, those kinds of things, right? So yes, I'm saying some of us just need to be tough and realize that's just how it is right now. Life is not going to be soft for a lot of us, but that doesn't mean we don't build in this softness that Pisces is bringing us. We got to keep it balanced, right? So, those are the things that I want y'all to keep in mind in general. This is just a general understanding. We'll go through the signs. And then the Virgo side of the eclipse is sort of like, y'all got bad habits and y'all need to let these bad habits go. Y'all haven't been taking good care of your health, or you just have some outdated health and wellness routines, and you need to do something about that. But honestly, when the South Node is there, it will bring in a little bit of it's a compassionate energy. So it's like, yeah, we need to troubleshoot, but you know, we're not going to be hardcore, because this does kind of soften down that criticism. That might be something that you're finding too. Like, why am I so critical of myself? Why am I so critical of the people who are around me? And it can make you begin to lose that edge. Because when you have the South Node in your sign, which is where it is right now in Virgo, it softens that energy down. It's almost like we need to have a cleanup in the area called Virgo. And so we're not going to be hard on ourselves, but we realize we need to do something new. We need to do something different. So again, this could be with the health and wellness. This could have to do with the job. It could have to do with your lifestyle, just how you operate, day-to-day routines, those kinds of things. It's like, we got to make a change. And more than likely, you were doing stuff that it's like, yeah, I know I need to let this go. That's how it is. And so when the South Node is there, it helps you to do that. Um, what else do I want to tell you about Virgo? It is about pets and again, charitable giving and service. And one of the best things you could do while these nodes are in Pisces and Virgo is charitable giving or helping people not expecting anything in return. And that will help a lot with this energy. Okay. Um, Let me see. Do I want to say anything before I start looking at the specific? Y'all can look at all of those, the other meanings there. I'm just kind of going off the dome. So this is the new moon. Again, the full moon. The full moon happens September the 7th. It'll be at 2:09 p.m. Eastern time. Things that I have learned from my astrology teachers about this is when the eclipse is going on, if you could, just be as slow as possible and even stop what you're doing and just, you know, even if you just take time during that day, okay? Because sometimes I have found out these eclipses they're over time, okay? It's a process, but this is when it's exact, is what we'll call it. So just taking that time to just be slower and introspective. This is a full moon, so there could be a revelation. And if you haven't seen the new direction that you're supposed to go in, that's something that you might see with this one. Um, or it could reveal something, a missing piece around the new direction that you're supposed to be going in. Um, Interestingly, a full moon can be very stressful, so it could be very emotional during that time. It could just conjure up so much emotion. But another thing, one of my least favorite parts of anything in Pisces, to be honest with you, but it's called the mutable signs. So mutable signs: Pisces, Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius. So we have the moon, the node, and Saturn in Pisces the day of the full moon, Uranus in Gemini, and Mercury and the sun in Virgo. That's a lot of mutable energy. So just be cautious of being scammed or somebody trying to get over on you during that time. I really don't like that part of this particular type of energy. But yeah, so it could be, sort of emotional. You want to do things to help keep you grounded. But if you feel like you need to cry, maybe you just need to. Um, it could be some type of spiritual awakening that we experience during that time. And yeah, yeah. Oh, a healing. If you need a healing, it can reveal the healing to you. Or you just find that you're healed up. Uber creative energy could be coming through. The number one thing that you're doing is you're looking for clues to see what is it that you need to do, because you have to remember this eclipse started actually last year. So this is the third one that we've had on this axis. And you're looking for clues. Now I'm going to tell you what areas of life this is happening for you based on your signs, but you definitely want to be looking for, what is this moon telling me? Okay. So we do have Jupiter interacting with this moon. Now, Jupiter actually is the planet that rules Pisces. And so it's sending what is called a trine to the moon. That's a blessing right there. So I believe that this moon can bring some type of miracle, because Pisces has to do with miracles. I believe it can bring a blessing, a miracle. Um, it could help you to see a greater vision that lies ahead for you. It can bring healing to the family, maybe even, the ancestral line, even further to the back. But I could tell you, this moon right here It will be very, very spiritual, very spiritual. So don't be surprised if you see things in dreams or if you have like this ultra spiritual experience. But the key to remember is okay, well, I'm having this spiritual experience, but what is coming through? That's what I want y'all to be aware. That's part of the goddess centered lifestyle is always being aware. Pisces will make you get lost. A lot of people might be using this moon to, binge watch TV or movies or something like that. And that's fine because Pisces is that binge watching energy. But even with the binge watching, like, are you getting something from what you're looking at? Sometimes I binge watch movies and I'm crying because I'm like, oh my gosh, I got this message from this movie, that kind of thing. Okay. So also, we have um, Mercury at the time of this full moon is in Virgo. And so Mercury is the mind. And maybe this moon is going to be a little bit of like our logical mind. Um, I don't want to say at war, but maybe in conflict with our emotions. Um, maybe it's kind of like balancing what you should get from the emotions versus that mind and what you're thinking, or, balancing the intuition with the logic. Um, it is also, I believe that messages can come through. Maybe it's going to be messages around your health and wellness, something around career, um, routines. I tell you what, the other thing that this could help with is if you are a hoarder, if you have stuff that you need to get rid of, if you lack organization, this full moon can help you to maybe come up with a plan in order to get it done. All right. Um, what else do I want to share about this moon? I will say, even though they don't operate exactly with this moon, this is actually kind of creeping me out. We have Pluto at 1 degree, Neptune at 1 degree, Uranus at 1 degree. These are all the outer planets. Now, they're in fire and air, okay? So they're bringing a different energy into this moon. Air is intellect and it's social, to a certain degree, technological. And Neptune is in a fire sign. So, it's a watery planet, but it's bringing this fiery energy. There's a level of protection that I think this is, well, I don't think I know that it is conferring protection of some sort, but it's sort of like society is shifting, but we're going to get to figure out how we're going to shift within this new society also. Um, and it can help with all this energy of detachment down in Virgo, which typically is like, we got this, this list of things to do. Virgo's not like that right now. So we're missing that element from keeping Pisces in check, which is just like, let's float out in the clouds. To so that energy of those outer planets can help to bring in more of that logic, like I talked about with the Mercury, can bring in more of that logic and um, like how do you take that thing that you're floating around in, that dream, and turn it into something real? And the Neptune can have us maybe taking divinely guided action. All right. So that's what I have for this moon. Yeah. Oh, one more. Jupiter is squaring Mars on the day of that moon, and what it'll confer, because you have to remember this energy is lasting 6 months. That brings in energy of new beginnings of some sort. Again, it's more of like action guided by wisdom. If you want something to happen, you're going to have to take some action, but it's sort of like, maybe it's action that you need to be talking to people about. I keep saying with that Mars and Libra, if you are stuck and you're not making choices and decisions, this one can help you to make choices. It can help you to be more decisive. So it could be that. You just want to make sure that you're not rash and hasty over the next 6 months. Action guided by wisdom is how I will say it. Okay.